Hello and how's it going, Elder Scrolls Nation? It is Skullzi here with a very important Bethesda Game Studios community public service announcement. Now, amidst all of the drama and controversy surrounding Fallout 76 and the current and future state of Bethesda Game Studios' game engine, I took it upon myself to be known as a pillar of real and legit information in the community and not just jumping on that negativity and that angry mob bandwagon about Fallout 76. I report actual literal information by recording my screen so you can see the information for yourself and know that my bullshit capacity meter is always running at 0%, and that way you can actually go take the time to look it up yourself if you don't believe me. And any speculation is based off this actual evidence, and if I do talk about anything negative, I tell it how it is, but I don't just try to start that angry mob process. I actually try to be pretty balanced, and if there is any hope in the situation, I try to steer things more towards that direction. But despite this, there is still a lot of stuff going on in the community. Even after I released a video a couple days ago where I showed literal updates and trademark documents from the US government proving that Bethesda Game Studios has a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in terms of engine upgrades that are just now taking place, as well as proof that they're not using the Gamebryo engine from Morrowind and Oblivion. However, there's still a lot of arguing going on, and I have evidence today to help clear up more of this information and paint a picture as to the state of Bethesda Game Studios' game engine for both Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6. Now, if you haven't seen that video where I show actual proof of upgrades to Bethesda Game Studios' game engine, then you can watch it by clicking on a screen here or checking for a link down in the description below. I highly suggest you watch that video before continuing forward, as it shows a lot of evidence that helps stop a lot of the arguments and drama that's still going on actually even after this video, and there's 3 reasons for all this drama as of right now. The first reason is excusable because there is some actual issues with the game engine, and if you don't like the game engine or whatever, that's fine, and that's totally true as long as you have a valid reason. If you're just basing this off some kind of angry mob mentality, hive mind situation, or just because you want to yell and scream, then that's bullshit and you're adding negativity to a community I care about. However, if you do say that maybe the UI seems old to you, or clunky, or that the load times are long, or you don't like how the rendering works, or something that's valid, then I can't argue with that. I have to say, okay, that's true, there might be a reason for that, but right now I can't say you're wrong if that's a valid thing. The second reason people are still arguing is because they actually enjoy having this kind of drama in their life. They have to be angry about something at all times, and they love this hive mind angry thing. Maybe they're CD Projekt Red fans and they're just trying to come over and corrupt the Bethesda community, who knows, but either way, they're ignoring facts and information and still want to spread this false stuff. And the third reason people are still arguing, and this is what I hope to clear up with videos like this, is just because they either don't understand something or there is misinformation that they heard that they need cleared up for them. Now, like I said, if you haven't watched that video where I show actual upgrades to the Bethesda Game Studios engine, watch that before going forward. But anyway, what I'm talking about today is in regards to this Bethesda Game Studios engine stuff and even Fallout 76, because people are saying that maybe some of these upgrades to the engine is what Fallout 76 actually is. And some people are even going further by saying that Bethesda Game Studios doesn't have any plans to even upgrade their engine that much more than what Fallout 76 has for games in the future such as Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6. Now, this previous video helps clear some of this up, but I also have more evidence today from Todd Howard himself that paints a very clear picture of the differences that Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 will have. And this is actually a blast from the past. Let's go way, way back in the past to visit Todd Howard with Skullzi. Let's go! Okay, I guess it's not that far back in the past. It's only March of 2018. But during March of 2018, the Game Maker's Notebook podcast invited Todd Howard himself to be a guest. If you're not familiar with this podcast or what the Game Maker's Notebook is, it's a very good podcast where they interview game developers and other important figures in the gaming community. They ask a lot of very good and unique questions specifically for the very guest being interviewed on the podcast, and I highly suggest you check this interview out for yourself. There's a link down in the description below as well. Or you could just click on the screen here for a breakdown of that podcast, because I did a video way back when about this. Now, about 30 minutes into the podcast, Todd Howard says something very, very interesting, and at the time, he says this when we had no idea Fallout 76 was actually in development, because remember, Bethesda officially announced Fallout 76 prior to E3 in May of 2018. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and play this short clip of what Todd Howard says, that way you have better context before I break this down for you.
You know, take an animation system change that we're doing right now. We're finishing for one of our projects, though that's a project that's in pre-production, getting a new animation system, whereas the one that's in full production is using the old one.
Now remember, I said that this was way before we even knew about Fallout 76, meaning the next two games that we knew about were Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. So when Todd Howard says that they have new systems and game engine upgrades such as a new animation system in the works, we thought that this only applied to Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. But now we know that the current project that Todd Howard was referring to that is currently using the current system is Fallout 76, meaning that Fallout 76 is running on more or less the same engine as Fallout 4, except for a few minor upgrades, including one major one where they kinda had to take a lot of framework from id Studios' game engine and force it into the Bethesda Game Studios creation engine, which was very hard because the creation engine revolves around something known as the Atlas, which is the single player user in the game engine, meaning it was designed from the start for single player games. And with that in mind, you'd have to say that this engine, the one used for Fallout 76, probably won't have anything to do with any other game beyond Fallout 76 for this reason, because I'm sure that it wasn't easy to try to get these two game engines to combine, and that there's probably a few issues and glitches that would be very difficult to fix, so they probably won't carry this engine on forward, except for maybe other games similar to Fallout 76, but I doubt that as well. But back to Todd Howard was saying, if Fallout 76 was the current game, then the one in pre-production would mean either Starfield or The Elder Scrolls 6. Now, this seems kinda weird because Starfield was currently in production even back then and is almost finished now because it's supposedly in a playable state, according to Todd Howard during the Game Makers podcast, and I believe Pete Hines at E3 during post-E3 interviews, so this probably deserves a little bit more clarification, but as we all know, Bethesda uses their words very carefully and diplomatically, and they say stuff specifically for the community because they know people take their words and run with it. In fact, Todd Howard said that himself too. So back then, we have to think about the state of the Bethesda community back then. We only knew about Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. In fact, Starfield wasn't even confirmed, but Bethesda knew we kinda had it narrowed down by then, especially with all my trademark digging. So he could kinda say the truth while misleading the community by saying that the current project was Fallout 76 and the next one was Starfield, and he used the words pre-production mostly to just kinda throw people off, unless he was specifically meaning The Elder Scrolls 6 as the game in pre-production, even though I think The Elder Scrolls 6 is probably even beyond what is known as pre-production right now. I'm sure they're knee-deep into at least 40% done with the overall production of the game, not pre-production. So with that in mind, that shows how loose Todd Howard was playing with his words. But anyway, you can see how Todd Howard was clearly going with what the community was talking about back then, and in fact, a lot of the talk in the community was about how Starfield was going to use the old engine and Elder Scrolls 6 was going to use the new one based on this interview. I did videos about that and speculated on that myself even, as well as other content creators, but now we know that he was referring to Fallout 76 as the game using the old technology, and Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 as the games that are going to be using these new systems, including this new animation system. And come on, of course he's not just talking about only a new animation system. You think they're just going to upgrade an animation system for the next generation of gaming technology and leave it at that, along with a few other like graphical shiny upgrades and stuff? Oh, here's some shinies, here's some new animations, next gen, yay Bethesda, we just want your money. No, that's not what they're doing, and in fact they have to upgrade the entire engine, or at least parts of it as well, that will work right alongside this new animation system, because to upgrade one thing while not upgrading the other will make it sort of incompatible in some ways. He just didn't want to spill all the beans and just, I guess, said animation, maybe because animation has been one of the things the community has been talking about, like the facial animations way back in Oblivion, that was awkward, and how NPCs and just overall body movements and physics seemed stiff and rigid. So probably Todd Howard was giving us more than we kind of needed even during that podcast. But either way, thank you Todd Howard for clearing up something in the future from way back in the past. Wouldn't it be something if Todd Howard predicted all of this drama and planted this information during this podcast way back for someone to stumble back across and talk about and say right now? Probably not. But at least now we know that Fallout 76 and its engine, with all of its faults and glitches and bugs that everyone keeps bitching about, is probably gonna be the last game that engine is used for, because in the words of Todd Howard himself, even way back in March of 2018, Starfield and the Elder Scrolls 6 will be running on new engine systems. Combined with my information I dug up from actual trademarks for multiple upgrades to the Bethesda Game Studios game engine that you can see in this video, this proves even more beyond a doubt that Bethesda Game Studios is paying major attention, and perhaps more attention than they ever did, to updating their engine for the next generation single-player open-world RPG games. And as always, I want to know what you have to say about all of this. Let me know down in the comments below, and if your comment wins the internet and may get featured in a future video. Don't forget to subscribe to stay in and know when it comes to Bethesda Game Studios news and next-gen gaming news. Follow me on Twitter for the latest channel updates and random shit about me. Check me out on Twitch, where I soon will be streaming again. I am a Twitch affiliate over there. Like I said, I'm just waiting on that webcam. Come over to the channel Discord, where there is always an active and awesome conversation taking place. Links for all of these awesome things are down in the description below, as well as has a link to Patreon where you can earn unique and awesome awards as well as get access to occasional behind-the-scenes channel content. I'm currently restructuring my Patreon a third time for something that I think works the best for everybody, but you could be a big help to the channel over there if you subscribe. And if you want to have the best prices for brand new digital game keys and software keys, if you want to be a YouTuber or even a game developer, then head over to https://www.scdkey.com/sk/Skullzi. The link is on the screen here as well as down in the description below. All you gotta do is go down in the description and click on that link and you help the channel even if you don't buy anything. But if you choose to buy something, use coupon code SKFG. That way they know Skullzi sent you and you can get a little bit of that something savings. Fallout 76 was, I believe, $40 a couple weeks ago, so check that out for the best prices. And as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when Todd Howard from the past comes to fight Todd Howard from the present.
Bye, have a great time.